Hey guys, this is Silver. A lot of people have asked about doing my rub and buff. I have a lot of examples here on my table, and I am going to actually show how to do it using one of the shells for my Dwemer Dynamo core. So I start with a espresso brown primer. I do that for both my silver, my gold, and my brass, just so that way it kind of has a rusty, aged look when I go over it. For my Dwemer items, I do the antique gold. It kind of gives it almost like a rose gold tint compared to the actual gold, which is ideally what I want. So here it is in comparison to the septum. You can see it almost has like a coppery tinge to it. But both of them still hold that nice deep dark color underneath because of how you're doing it. And here is the actual crown. And again, even with the very small details that I have on there, every one of them are picked up with how I do it. If you want something that's more patinaed, this is a good example with the Ouroboros. I did this starting with the brown, and then I dry brushed using a turquoise color. I use folk art for most of my craft paints. So for most of what I do, you start out with your espresso brown base. And as I said, with Dwemer, we're going to do the antique gold, and you can apply using an eyeshadow brush, which is a little bit firm in the middle, but it still has that nice spongy texture to pick up the rub and buff and move it around, or a makeup sponge. I prefer the makeup sponge because it has a better absorbency, it holds more material, and at the same time I get more uses out of it, and they're cheap. You can use a brush, but you will start to see some bristles will hold onto the pigment, and you'll start to see scratches, which you might want, and you also just might get outright inconsistent. I like the sponge because of how I apply it. I get a very consistent look. So you just want to apply it, but also like almost brush it into the sponge. That way you don't get globs. The globs will actually start to just show up on more than just the raised places, and sometimes it might pick up, and as you're taking it off, it rubs it into an area you didn't want it as much. So as you can see, you got that really nice kind of goldish look, but right as a elevated piece meets the base, you see that brown underneath, and that's what you want. You want it to look like it's been held, it's been touched, the oils in the hand have kind of rubbed and cleaned off those raised areas, but you got that dingy underneath. This gives you a more deeper, consistent in the groove kind of look, and in all honesty, I prefer rub and buff more than I do metallic spray paint. So just going through. And if you don't like it on your hands, I mean, you can always wear latex or nitrile gloves. Right now I'm just trying to make sure that I like this in comparison to what it should be. So if you look on my original, I used gold, which is fine. It's just when I decided I was going to do it different, I changed my mind and went with this. And with this already being pre-built, I had not had a chance to redo the paint job, so mainly because it was already built. But as you can see, all the little grooves, same way, they're all cut. Just easy. You don't want to apply too much pressure, or else you're going to end up covering up those grooves. That's the whole reason we use rub and buff, is to get that detail. And just like that, you have two beautiful shells for a dynamo core.